Well, hello and welcome to Thought for Thursday. I'm happy to be here with you this evening, tonight, whenever it is that you are able to watch this. As you know, Thought for Thursday is the segment of Leveling Up the podcast that's brought to you on Thursday evenings. We bring this to you really an abbreviated version, something that's going to be able to help you to address some pain points that we may all have. You're going to have a total of 15 minutes with me this evening. And in those 15 minutes, you're going to get some actionable steps that are going to help you to be able to get to the other side of the topic that we're talking about tonight. So I welcome you if this is your first time. Again, this is a segment that I bring to you on Thursday evenings, and it's all of 15 minutes long. And when you leave, you will have some tools that you didn't have before. So, tonight we are talking about not the resolutions that we made for 2026. We're not talking about those directly tonight, but we are talking about something that affects whether we are able to see those things come to life, whether we're able to actually make some progress in what it is that we're trying to do. So, what are we talking about tonight? We're talking about motivation. Yeah, it's the beginning of the year. I know. And we started out really well, didn't we? We started out on fire. We were ready. We are gun ho. And here it is, just a few weeks into the new year. And the motivation that we had to get going with our meal plan has kind of waned. The motivation that we've had to get started on that book, we've already put off writing it at least 3 of the 7 days that we've been trying to get it done. And what about that motivation that we put in place to begin that business? Well, we haven't even started the research on it. Isn't that right? It's okay. I want you to extend yourself some grace because this is really a prime time. People talk about you lose your motivation for your resolutions, usually within, by the second month or by the third month. But hey, if you're anything like me, you start getting discouraged shortly after you start. It's like that willpower, for one, starts to really get a little stretched and thin. The determination, as soon as you hit a roadblock, as soon as you hit an area where you're not getting the support that you need, uh you feel like, let's just give it up. As soon as you hit a point where the money is not coming in the way that you thought it was going to come in, that was going to help you, that money that was going to help you to get that thing that you wanted, that's going to help you to get where you wanted to go, not coming in, and it's looking real funny. Another reason to lose motivation. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace and realize that, number one, there's some tough facts that we have to face. And one of them is, if we're not going to get going, then neither is that thing. Ever will that thing that we want to actually make happen. Never will it happen. So, like I said, it's early in the year and you're starting to feel discouraged, because January came in loud. It's funny how recently, or in the recent years, in the recent months, it seems that everything is a little louder, isn't it? Well, the new year came in loud with all the fireworks, and we came in saying we're going to get that thing done. But all of a sudden, responsibilities are pulling at us, our energy is low, and that question starts whispering, well, what's wrong with me? I start out like this every year. I start out like this. Let's not even put it at the beginning of the year. Let's say every time I decide to do something, I start out like this, and then I start pulling back. Well, let me tell you something, and let me state this very clearly. There's nothing wrong with you. You're human. And guess what? That puts you in the same category as every other person out here. Yeah, you're human. What you're experiencing really isn't failure, it is the gap that's between intention, okay, and momentum. And everyone hits it. So tonight we're not talking about forcing motivation necessarily, but we're really kind of talking about reinviting or reinvigorating movement. Let's put it that way. Because motivation really does, it follows motion, not the other way around. Motion doesn't follow motivation. Motivation really does follow motion. So there are a couple of things, there are a couple of reasons why motivation kind of dies early. And you lose it early for, I would put it into perhaps three different reasons. One, you're setting goals that sound good but weren't really anchored in meaning. You knew that this was something that you wanted to get done. Why? What is the meaning behind you seriously wanting to get to what it is that you want to get to? Something else, you expected momentum to kind of feel exciting instead of uncomfortable. I want to do this, I want to do this, and then it doesn't feel so good. The thought of getting on the other side of getting what you want accomplished, that is what has you feeling great initially, but that doesn't always sustain you. Sometimes, looking at the end goal, yes, it should, it really should, it could, but it doesn't always work that way. And a third reason is because you really kind of tried to change everything instead of changing one thing. I'm so guilty of that. I get so frustrated with the way that things are. And instead of kind of taking the little bites, I go in and try to eat the whole thing at once. And, that's not going to cut it. But let me tell you, your systems can be rebuilt. So don't feel like you um, should lose hope. Don't feel like it's just not going to happen, because guess what? It really, really can. And let's talk about that just a little bit for a second. So, what are some of the things that we're looking at? Well, what are some of the things that we can do? Let me put it to you that way, because I always promise I'm going to give you 5 things that you can do. So, we're talking about things that you can do to get on the other side of losing your momentum, losing that motivation. The first thing that I want you to think about is shrinking that goal until it's really impossible to avoid. Sometimes you feel stuck, and the goal, honestly, is usually too big. Your brain resists, the overwhelm, but it responds to completion. Nobody wants to be overwhelmed, but you're definitely more accepting of completion. So instead of asking, what do I need to finish? Ask, well, what is the smallest version of this that still kind of moves me forward? All right. Take it in bite sizes. Not, I need to get healthy, but I'll drink, an extra glass of water before noon, or something else. You don't need to say, I need to reinvent my career, but perhaps, I'll spend 10 minutes a day writing down what I want to do. All right. 10 minutes a day writing down what I don't want anymore. How about that? Write down what you don't want. So the progress that feels too small to matter is really the progress that kind of restores your confidence. And that's the kind of progress that you need to go after. So starting tonight, shrink one goal so small that you could do it even on a bad day. Think about that. All right. So what's something else that you can do? Well, you can replace motivation with a non-negotiable appointment. See, motivation is really kind of emotional, and appointments, they're behavioral. All right. Motivation is emotional, but making an appointment for something is really a behavior. So high performers don't really rely on how they feel. They rely on what is scheduled. Think about that. Do your research. Look at how high performers move and what it is that they do to ensure that they are performing. They schedule things. Instead of waiting to feel ready, decide this happens whether I feel like it or not, because I've got it scheduled and it's going to happen. Period. The end. When something is on your calendar, your brain kind of treats it as being real. And that is if you remember to look at the calendar and make looking at the calendar a priority. All of these things hinge on something, don't they? I don't care what it is, what tool I'm giving you, they all hinge on something. So put one, just one 15-minute appointment on your calendar this week labeled Future Me. Label it that. Put one thing down. All right. Put it on the calendar because remember, this calendar is the behavioral thing that you need, not the emotional thing, but that behavioral thing that's going to help you to get that motivation that you need, that momentum to move forward. All right. What's a third thing you can do? Well, remove the shame from the stall. I already said at the beginning of this, give yourself some grace. You're human. It is so natural to be comfortable with the things that we have done for so long, right? And we would have been out of them by now if they weren't so comfortable. And it wasn't easy to stick with what it is that we've been doing. So remove the shame because shame is going to kill your momentum no matter what. It is the fastest thing that's going to fuel the failure. You get stuck in that mode and you are really stuck in quicksand. So when you say, I should be further along, I always do this, I lack discipline, you really kind of drain the energy that you need to move. So again, stalling is not a weakness. It's often information. Information about what? It's telling you something like you're tired, um, the goals need refining. Like I said, maybe you're trying to do too much, make it a little smaller so that you can't help even on the worst day, but to get it done. Your pace is unrealistic. You're trying to do too much at once. Or the reason why you really wanted this change wasn't so clear. You have to have clarity. Clarity is key for so much and is definitely key with helping you to get to the other side of stuck. All right. So that's the third thing. Remove that shame, remove the shame and go forward and make the change. Figure, I'm going to put that aside and decide that I'm going to go forward in what I need to do to get past this. What's our third or fourth thing? All right. Go ahead and borrow momentum from identity. Borrow some momentum from identity. So when motivation is low, identity tends to be stronger. So instead of asking, what do I feel like doing? Ask, what would the woman I am becoming do next? All right. That identity, the person I'm becoming, what would she do next? She does not need the whole plan. She takes the next aligned step, right? We talk about that and she plans it out, right? It's put on the calendar. You don't need to rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. Let me say that again. You don't need to rise to the level where your goals are, but nestle in the place that you identify with. Like I said, what is it? What would the woman do that I am becoming? Rest in that. Pull that more so than focusing in on the goals to the extent that you are getting down under them and in a sunken and deep place where you cannot pull yourself out of what I called already some quicksand. So you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. So finish this sentence. A woman who is rebuilding her life would do what today? A woman who is rebuilding her life would blank today. All right. That's going to help you to kind of focus in on identity more so than the goals. And then once you figure that out, go do that thing that the woman who is rebuilding herself should be doing. All right. And the last thing that I want to tell you about doing is create a visible win before the day ends. Oh my goodness. Talk about some wind beneath your wings. Give yourself a win and it will start to put the momentum in place that you need. It'll give you that jolt. It'll give you that shot in the arm. It's important because when you see evidence that it can happen, that gives you the desire to go ahead and make it happen. Your brain needs that proof that it can be done, proof that the movement is happening. So a visible win can be something like, clearing out one drawer. If you're anything like me, I've got rooms in here that need clearing. And it can get overwhelming if I look at all the rooms. But if I focus on clearing out that one drawer a day in my room in particular, then you start to see, well, that looks really good. Let's go ahead and do this second drawer. Before you know it, you have a whole dresser done. You've got the whole room done. Sending one email, you may have tons to send out. Focus on one and then let that kind of fuel you to do the others. Writing a paragraph, walking for 5 minutes instead of trying to run those 5 miles that you've desired or put down as your goal in the first week that you're starting out and you haven't exercised in years. Yeah, that's not really realistic, is it? So saying no to one thing, that's something else you can do. That would be a visible win. Say no to one thing that's draining you, that one thing that's holding you back. A win will rewire your belief every time. So before tonight ends, complete one visible action that proves to you that this can be done, that you are still in motion. Motion is key. So I'm closing out here a little longer than 15 minutes, but keep in mind that the year has possibilities. Yeah, I know we've just gotten started and you want to quit already, but you know what? We still have a good 11 and a half months to get this done. And this is not the year that you want to quit January. Okay. You don't want to quit because January was hard. This is the year you learned how to restart without shame. All right. That nothing is wrong with you for losing that momentum and that motivation on day one. You are human. All right. You are not behind. Guess what? You are becoming, and becoming isn't always the easiest thing to do. Momentum's not loud. All that other stuff out there that's trying to get you not to move, it's loud, isn't it? So you got to sit back and give yourself time to kind of recalibrate. Give yourself that grace that I talked about. And tonight, if you take one of these tools that we just talked about, any of them, you are already moving again. All right. So that's it. Listen, if you need a little more motivation to really get you cranking and moving, my 90-day program is the program that you want to take advantage of. In the upper, I guess it would be the left-hand side. There is a QR code here that talks about the reinvention program. What you need, the shot in the arm that you need. This program not only talks about the coaching piece of it, but it also puts you around like-minded women who are trying to move and shake the way that you are, that are human, just like you. And that whole piece of it, the encouragement, the accountability, is also important. Talk to me. Go ahead and scan that QR code and find out some details on the program. If you have questions, you can always email me at atucker@joliseenterprises.com, and we'll make sure that we get you going in the way in which you need to move. All right? That's it. Make sure that you use those 5 steps. Give yourself some grace. Don't give up in January. Reframe in January. Recalibrate. It is not too late. Go out. Be yourself. Be authentically you. Go ahead and work at the becoming that you want. All right. Go ahead and become. Work on that becoming. Know that you are unique and that is awesome. Only you can be you. Only you have that thumbprint that is so needed to change your life, to make an impression on others and make things better for not just you, but for someone else. Go out, do your absolute best, and in all you do, strive to be well. Thanks a lot.